Today we take up one of the most beloved episodes in all of the original series, Shore Leave.
Compliance, the final frontier. Tom Fox is the voyager of trekking through compliance. His mission? To explore the original series and seek out and share what it can teach you about compliance. Here's your host, Tom Fox.
Episode 15, Shore Leave, Stardate 3025.3. An Earth-like uninhabited planet in the Omicron Delta region seems the ideal location for rest and relaxation for the tired crew of the Enterprise. However, strange things start happening when the crew beams down. McCoy sees Alice and a white rabbit. Sulu sees an antique police special pistol. Yeoman Barrels is accosted by Don Juan and Esteban Rodriguez, and Angela see birds. No one believes McCoy's Alice sighting until Kirk beams down and spots a giant rabbit track. Kirk cancels shore leave for the rest of the crew, but is then confronted with practical joker Finnegan from his days at Starfleet Academy on the one hand and his former girlfriend Ruth on the other. Meanwhile, Sulu has been attacked by a samurai, Rodriguez and Angela have been confronted by a tiger, and Bones is making moves on Yeoman Barrels, who has found Princess's clothing. Spock, meanwhile, reports from the Enterprise that he has detected a sophisticated power field on the planet which is draining the Enterprise's energy. Spock beams down to help investigate just as communications with the ship are becoming impossible. Pleasure over seeing Barrels dressed as a princess soon turns to terror when Bones is lanced by a knight. After Bones is skewered, Kirk shoots the knife with a gun he has confiscated from Sulu. Investigation of the knight shows him to have the same cellular structure as plants on the planet, and Spock surmises that it has all been manufactured. A Japanese Zero plane then strafes Angela and Rodriguez, fortunately missing them. During the commotion, the bodies of the dead knight and McCoy mysteriously disappear. After asking Kirk what he was thinking about prior to encountering Finnegan, Spock realizes the apparitions are created out of the minds of the landing party. Upon thinking about the Academy again, Kirk conjures up Finnegan and heads off on a wild chase after him. After Kirk catches up with Finnegan, Finnegan then lays him out flat. After more hand-to-hand fighting, Kirk finally succeeds in doing something he has never done before, defeating Finnegan. Suddenly, the planet's caretaker appears with a repaired McCoy on the arms of two cabaret girls from Rigel 2. The caretaker apologizes for the misunderstanding and offers the services of the amusement park planet to the Enterprise's weary crew. Kirk accepts and authorizes the crew to beam down, but Spock has had his fill of shore leave and requests to be returned to the Enterprise. So, what are some of the fun facts of this case? Composer Gerald Fried based Finnegan's theme on an Irish jig he heard during the climactic fight scene between John Wayne and Victor McLachlan in the classic movie The Quiet Man. If you recall, that fight scene, it was really quite spectacular. It took up a good 5 minutes at the end of the film. Shore Leave is one of the most beloved episodes in all of Star Trek. It has raucous action. It has fun. It has historical references. It has romance. It has fairy tales. It has a white rabbit. It doesn't get much better than that. But there's really a lot to unpack in here, I think, that can really help you in your overall compliance program. And the starting point, of course, is fun and games. And how do you incorporate that type of action, that type of part of your brain into your overall training? A friend of mine I asked him about how does he get such great training engagement. He says through games. And he said, what was your most favorite part of school? And I said, recess. He goes, exactly. And if you can incorporate something like that into your compliance training and your compliance programming and communication, I think you'll have really a leg up to get increased engagement and increased focus. Once again, you've got, I guess the only thing missing here was a white rabbit, or excuse me, the Cheshire Cat, because we did have a white rabbit. We had knights in shining armor. We had Don Juan. We had strafing runs. We had a police 37 or a 38 caliber police revolver that Mr. Sulu was somewhat of an expert in addition to his fencing that we learned a little bit earlier. And it's in a great location. This planet is just gorgeous as well. Shooting outdoors is not typically something we see from Star Trek, so it's fun to see how they incorporate fauna and flora into this episode, and they use both. We got to meet Ruth briefly. Unfortunately, we don't get much of her story in the entire Star Trek canon. A couple of times she's mentioned. Finnegan, of course, is a great stereotyped Irish character, but he's also the one that whipped Kirk, or as he calls him, Jimmy Boy. So lots of fun in this episode, some serious points too, but I really would ask you to think about the gaming angle. And is there a way for you to have games to help teach some pretty basic or even important compliance tactics, strategies, and goals to have greater engagement with your audience? So think about shore leave, think about recess at school, and think about gaming in your compliance training and your communications. Next up, compliance takeaway. Obviously, this episode was a lot of fun, but there are some valuable insights into leadership principles, ethical considerations for effective compliance. One of the key lessons from this episode is the importance of leading by example and fostering a culture of integrity within your organization. When the Enterprise crew arrives on the mysterious shore leave planet, they are tempted by the ability to manifest their deepest desires and fantasies. However, Captain Kirk and his senior officers must exercise restraint and set the right tone for the rest of the crew. This scenario underscores the reality that compliance starts at the top. Leaders must be willing to hold themselves to the highest ethical standards and demonstrate a steadfast commitment to the organization's values, even in the face of temptation or personal desires. Anything less risks undermining the credibility of your compliance program and eroding the trust of your workforce. Another crucial lesson from shore leave is the need for clear communication and transparency. When the crew encounters increasingly bizarre and unsettling phenomena on the planet, Captain Kirk must work to quickly identify the underlying cause and provide his crew with a coherent approach that they can take going forward. This reflects the imperative for compliance leaders to proactively share information, address concerns, and ensure that all stakeholders understand the rationale behind policies and procedures. The episode also highlights the importance of empowering and trusting one's own team. When the situation on the planet becomes volatile, Kirk relies on the expertise and judgment of his senior officers to make critical decisions. This distributed leadership model is essential for effective compliance management, as it fosters a sense of shared responsibility and encourages employee engagement. Shore leave emphasizes the importance of adaptability and resilience in the face of unexpected challenges. The crew's inability to initially comprehend the nature of the planet's technology and its impact on their perceptions mirrors the type of unpredictable scenarios that compliance professionals must be prepared to navigate. Effective leadership requires the ability to assess evolving risks, think creatively, and respond with agility. Finally, the episode's exploration of moral dilemmas faced by the crew when their innermost desires are manifested serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of strong ethical principles and decision-making frameworks. Compliance leaders must be ready to guide their organization through the complex situations where competing priorities and personal biases may come into play. Shore leave offers valuable lessons on integrity, communication, empowerment, adaptability, and ethical decision-making, all of which are essential components of effective compliance leadership. By incorporating these principles into practice, compliance professionals can help to foster a culture of trust, accountability, and sustainable ethical behavior within their organization.
If you enjoyed this episode of Trekking Through Compliance, you can help it grow by sharing it with the biggest Trek fan you know.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.